and welcome to the Reflection Show. My name is Martha Anabila. I am super excited today. You want to know why? I'll tell you one day. We want to look at the challenges in the agric sector. A lot of young people are afraid to go into agriculture. Why? Is it that there are some systems that are not put in place well? What are the challenges that the farmers themselves face? I want to talk to a very big man. He's a big man and a big farmer with a very big farmland. Lances, if there is something like that. Mr. Clement Mathomasin. I hope I got the name correct. He is a great farmer, but he specializes more in moringa, and then the other ones are small ones that he does. But he's a moringa farmer. We call him the moringa man, and he's been doing so much in that sector, exporting, mentoring young people in agri. Just want to have a conversation with him to get to know how all of us can go into agri because I learned there's money there. Pa. Let's go for a break. When we are back, we start the discussion. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the Reflection Show. We want to look at challenges in the agri sector. Thank you very much for joining me on the show today.
Thank you, Mata.
Agric, why do you think that? Okay, before that, why are you into agric? You could have done a lot of things with the person that I know that you are. You could have ventured into anywhere business to make all the billions with less stress. But why are you in agric?
Well, first and foremost, I started as an IT person, and that's my background, that's my profession. But I realized that no matter how much you accumulate in wealth, you all of us need to eat,
Mm,
and eventually, leaving our fate in the hands of people to feed us poison, basically.
mm,
So, quite realizing that no matter how much you make, and going back home to eat poison is not the kind of world I would like to live in.
okay.
So I decided that I wanted to do something different. So there was a bit of a career swap to venture into agriculture.
Mm.
Um, Basically, and that's how I went into agric because I wanted to first and foremost make sure that somebody else is not feeding me poison.
Okay.
So basically, that's it.
What um gingered you or what encouraged you to go more into moringa? Or you could have started farming anything. There are lots of crops out there, but why moringa especially?
Moringa mainly because growing up we want to find purpose. All of us wants to see what we can do to be different. And I realized that after several research, moringa had a potential to help with a lot of malnutrition, especially within our communities. And these are plants that actually grow everywhere in our community. So I didn't understand why a lot of children are still malnourished. So I thought, okay, let me research, and moringa seems to be the solution. So that was my starting point to use moringa as a source of nutrition for children within the rural communities, especially. Of course, these days I've diversified in what we call regenerative farming, restorative farming, but moringa is still my, yeah, because I've reached out to so many children and be able to lift them out of malnutrition uh, through moringa. So I'm quite passionate about it, and also the economic aspects of it is quite interesting. So that's why eventually I'm into moringa, especially, but more into regenerative farming at the moment.
Is farming difficult?
Farming is very difficult. Um, it's quite an unfortunate field to be because every one of us eat. but how much respect do we accord to farmers, and how do we see farmers? There are many times I go to a place and I tell the youth that I'm a farmer, and they are like, the respect level goes
Mm.
down. And when you go to a place and you tell them I'm an IT professional, the respect level rises up. Or I say I'm a doctor, it goes up. And you kind of wonder how many times people fall sick, but every day we eat. So who should you have respected more, the farmer and the
Everyone can
doctor?
poison the food from the beginning.
So it's quite unfortunate that we have a very distorted view of what the farmer is, because everybody of us need to eat, and because of the lack of respect we give to farming and the farmer is also forced to take shortcuts, which affects everyone's health,
Mm.
including all those who are sitting at home and pretending not to care or know about it, or not to. The ones that are not even respecting the farmer is also poisoned, as well as the one who does. So farming actually affects all of us, and I think the better we start to respect people who are into farming and make it really a great profession for people to go into, the better for all of us.
Do you think that it's our orientation while we are growing up that is making us not to go into farming?
Yes, it's unfortunate that back in school, growing up, when someone misbehaves, punishment is go and farm.
Or go
Take
to
you
the
to the
school
farm,
garden?
take to the school garden, and so we associate farming to punishment, which is quite unfortunate because farming is the greatest job you can do in this world. There's no, because with farming we have medicine,
Mm.
with farming we have pharmacy, with farming you have doctors, because of farming we have all other professions. If the doctor doesn't eat, I don't think he can perform. If an engineer doesn't eat, so there's question of who is even more important is not relevant, because a farmer obviously is the most important, because without food we can't function. And if we have decent food, actually you won't fall as much sick. I don't recollect the last time I felt sick, because if you eat healthy, uh, naturally you don't go to the hospital as much, so you may not even need the doctor. So quite frankly, farming is one of the most important professions you can find in life. It was one of the first professions given to human beings from creation. So I think that the more we take it serious, the better for us, so that we can, live in a world where um, a lot of the world problems we have today is because of hunger. It's because of lack of access to food and food security issues. So if we're able to deal with hunger, quite a lot of things will be solved. I mean, if the basic needs of people are met, a lot of people go into robbery, all kinds of social vices
Because of hunger.
because of hunger. So I think that food security, which is solved by farming, should be prioritized as a nation in every country, so that in the end, yeah, we will all live decent lives.
We hear that a lot of farmers these days put a lot of chemicals in the food so that it gets ripe early for the market, or they are not able to take care of it well. Is it because of the soil that we have now? I learned sometimes you have to leave the land for some time, or there's what is making the food we are having today not as the food we had before.
Yeah, statistically, if you take an orange today, the same orange, the nutrients that you get from it today, um, some 10 years, 20 years back, if you have a piece of orange, the nutrients you get from it, you need nine of that same orange today
Wow.
to get the same nutrition.
Why?
Why? Because we are we've depleted the soil to a extent that we are using chemicals to grow the food. Now, when there is no microbial work in the soil, you might have the fruit, but the fruit is basically grown out of. It's just like you bloated the plant. So even though you have the fruit, but the nutritional content is not there. It's because we do not have rich soils anymore.
How
Our
do you make a
soil is
soil rich?
dying. What makes the soil rich is microbial activities. The soil contains billions and billions of microbes. That makes the soil rich. Now, when we apply chemicals, we kill a lot of them because some of the chemicals are quite hot. They are poisonous, so they kill all of this. When we apply chemicals, what we're doing is we are taking the responsibility of the microbiology in the soil and giving it to the chemical. So when you do that, those microbiology become dormant because they don't see the reason why they should work anymore. Because you want to feed your plant, so like nitrogen, you feed nitrogen directly into the soil. Meanwhile, those chemicals are supposed to be producing the nitrogen. So if you are feeding the plant directly, what does the microbiology do? They become dormant or they die out. And when they die out, you are feeding this chemical directly to the plant. So the activities of a microbiology dies, and when they die, they don't only add nutrition, to the soil. They have more. They add more, way more than that. And so we human beings always look at the single things, because I cannot benefit. Maybe nitrogen is the only thing I need. I don't need any other thing. We kill all the others and leave only nitrogen. I think that the trouble we are having is that we are feeding the soil with chemicals, and the microbiology that's supposed to do the work is dying. We are supposed to feed the plant, the soil, instead of feeding the plant. That's the difference. There's a difference between feeding the soil and feeding the plant. Now, feeding the soil, there are two main ingredients: um, organic materials, that's leaves, herbs, trees, branches, all this. Um, and then there is maybe animal waste or even human waste sometimes. Now, these two ingredients feeds the soil and help the soil to become better. So the more you have leaves and herbs and branches and wood in the soil, gradually the soil is developed, because then this microbiology that we are talking about have more activity. When you put a wood here and leave it for a while, they will do their work. And what happens if you have work to do? You become better. So the soil becomes better when we put microbiology in the soil, with materials, organic waste into the soil. Then we are helping this microbiology to become stronger. It's the same way as me and you. If we have more activity, we become stronger. Now, the less activity we have, the more dormant we become. And so it's the same thing. Now, feeding the plant means that, for instance, we are growing tomatoes. We realize that the tomatoes is deficient in a particular nutrient. Instead of feeding the soil so that it will feed the plant, we are in a hurry. So you directly apply, for instance, if it's a lack of nitrogen, you apply straight away nitrogen. So what happens is that the plant absorbs the nitrogen directly without the soil doing any work.
Okay.
So it is dormant. So by doing that, the all the microbiology that's supposed to help the plant to become better doesn't. Now, the mistake is that the plant becomes an individual plant. Whereas if the plant is left to feed on the microbiology in nutrients that is there, we call it the soil food web. Now, the soil food web, it means that plants communicate. They cooperate, they co-cooperate.
Yeah.
Um, I work with you, partnership. Just as humans, we partner and we work and we become better. So when you are feeding the one plant alone, it doesn't stretch. It
To the
doesn't
other
seek
side.
other parts of other plants. It doesn't communicate. So it becomes a standalone plant. And by doing that, there's so many nutrients that human eye cannot see, and therefore it is not absorbed. And because we scientists have told us it's nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, this NPK, kind of thing, and then we assume that that's the only thing. Human beings, we can talk about carbohydrate, protein, and this, but don't forget we also have some amino acids
Yeah.
and micronutrients that are needed. So if somebody just looks at you and formulates a food that is only carbohydrate, protein, and things, you will be lacking some
Yeah.
other
Yeah.
nutrients. And the same thing applies to a plant.
Okay.
So I think that we need to go back to understanding that developing our soils is the key to agriculture,
Mm.
not developing our plants.
Mm.
And to develop our soil is quite easy. Previously, our grandfathers, when they were farming, they will cut the grass and they leave the grass on top, and then they will continue to plant. Right now, with so-called commercial agriculture, we cut everything, the trees, no shade, nothing. We remove everything, and what happens is that we even do that and even clear all the grasses and everything off the land and burn them. This is the most useless way of farming you can ever find. We want to copy the Western world and we do it blindly.
Okay.
It's quite unfortunate that so all the food problems we have, the lack of nutrition, the fact that we have to apply more fertilizer, more chemicals, is because we are consistently not focusing on the soil and focusing on the plant. We want the plant to produce so much that you think you are happy. But what happens is that today fertilizer that was costing about 180 Ghana cedis just a year or two ago is now 400 Ghana cedis.
So it's become expensive for
It's becoming
farmers to.
expensive, very very expensive, very very expensive.
Hmm.
Most farmers I know in the north this year, most of them are not farming because they can't afford to buy the fertilizer. They
And the
can't,
lands to have lost its
and the lands
natural
have lost.
nutrients.
Today, people who used to farm 1 acre and get 10 bags of corn with maybe just 1 bag of application of fertilizer, these same people on the same piece of land need to apply 10 bags. 10 bags. And I'm speaking to dozens of farmers from experience. And if the farmer needs to invest 400 Ghana cedis times 10, where he previously would apply only one to get the same yield. And even now, as I speak, I'm just coming from a community. There's a guy who just applied 10 bags of fertilizer and still is harvesting nothing.
Wow.
Now, that tells you the problem we have in our food insecurity. And somehow
So farming has become even more expensive.
more complex and much more difficult. You see, why I switched to regenerative agriculture is because human beings, everything in life is regenerative. It grows better. When you started as a fetus,
Mm.
you become better. You become wiser as you grow. Now, anything that you're doing that retrogresses is going down.
Mm.
It means you're doing the wrong
Yeah.
thing. So we need to adapt regenerative ways of farming, whereby the farmer is not always applying more. It means if under normal circumstance, better farming is when I come and I apply one fertilizer today, tomorrow I should be using less
Mm.
and less
Mm.
and less. That is farming. If I were using 10 bags yesterday, I should be reducing, not increasing. And unfortunately, our agric offices, our education system, our ministers, our government setups, everything is for chemicals and fertilizer. We even have cases where government is subsidizing all these chemical fertilizers. When they first started, they were subsidizing all of them just to make farmers to go into it. And they abandoned the indigenous ways of growing food, whereby those ones were sustainable. And then they adopted this monoculture way of farming, which is deteriorating our soils. If you go outside of Tamale now, go to outside of Accra, you see big cornfields.
Mm.
But these big cornfields, most of them, the people even cut the trees on their land to grow this corn. Now, what you're doing is you're placing one plant over the other.
Mm.
And where there is monoculture, nothing grows there.
Mm.
Even in humans, we don't like inbreeding.
Yeah.
When we say inbreeding, is that there's one family marries into the same family.
Mm.
So why would you think it will be different for plants?
Wow.
So this is the problem we are having. The agriculture has become so complex that even the average farmer cannot do it. And the problem goes deeper than just that. There are big corporations controlling this. So um, it's very difficult to grow food these days. Somebody is producing the fertilizer,
Mm.
somebody is producing the seeds. Now, in our current generation, even seeds, the farmer, when previously when you go to our villages, when they grow the seed, they take the best performing plant
Mm.
and they pick it and plant again the next
Mm.
year
Sometimes they even hang them, and
beautifully.
so and that one what besides you who go and take it to go and roast it
Yeah.
because it is just reserved for the moment.
Yes.
It's getting interesting. I want us to go for a break. When we are back, we get to know. So now we are saying that we are encouraging ourselves to go into agric, but it seems very expensive. Let's get to know why. Do stay tuned.
Books by Pastor A.L. Fant. They are inspired by the Holy Spirit, simple to comprehend, relevant in application, and so lovely to read. Grab copies like Dynamics of Kingdom Influence, Dynamics of Ministry, Mark is King for Church Workers, Money Matters, and she calls herself a woman. This marriage must work. No more curses. Loaded mouth. Secrets of kingdom dominion. The exploits of service. Things fall apart. Church without bleeding pulpit. Singles mingle and many more.
Welcome back. At break, it's something that we've been hearing. Even I think the government started something planting for food and jobs. And sometimes I'm be asking myself, what is happening to that? Are we encouraging more young people? And I've been thinking of this thing. I don't know if the government or someone has considered it. In some countries, they have a system whereby farmers go to work like how people get up and go to their work from 8 to 5. So most of the land belongs to the government. So the government that are actually the main farmers in the country. So you actually apply to be a farmer, or they have different positions or something. So when you also wake up in the morning, you go to the farm, you go to look at the things and all of that. You close at 5 or 6 and go back home. Won't that be better? At least taking the pressure from individuals or organizations, and the government is solely responsible for that. And we know that okay, there is food security, all the money or the fertilizer, the government is sponsoring everything. We still have healthy foods for all of us.
No, no, no. That's not the solution. That's
Mm.
not the solution because if it was the solution, the government would have done it, solve it right from the beginning. Remember, some 50 years ago, Kwame Nkrumah started the state farm projects where
Yes.
the government was
I
actually
think when
doing
I
the
came
farms.
to
You
Zongo,
visited my
I
place, you
went to
saw some
see
of the
that,
sites.
yes.
Um,
And they've all been
they
abandoned.
have exactly. So,
Nice houses.
so my point is that governments change, keep changing. So different governments, if you put the responsibility of food security in the hands of the government, you will be doing a disservice
Because
to
different
the to the
governments
to the people.
changes their
The
plan.
best way to encourage it is to encourage households to grow their own food, individuals to grow their own food. You don't need actually. Farming is not about the size of the farm.
Mm,
Farming is about producing the little you can.
mm.
I produce the little I can. You produce the little you can. We exchange. Because if you're doing it in small scale, you can pay focus. You can focus. You can pay attention
So
to
you
what you're
are
doing.
producing yams. I'm
I'm
producing
producing
rice.
tomatoes. And
So
even if we
at the
choose to
end,
even mix it up, fine. By the end of the day,
specialty as also comes
we
in.
can change and we can focus. And so it's important that if we really want to grow food and be food secure in this country, we should encourage one individuals to grow food, small scale gardening at our homes. promote food production in the various houses. Even if it means
A
if you are
garden.
having a small patio, in your patio you grow food, small tomatoes here and there. It sounds insignificant, but that's the key way to food security, because one, during that process people will learn what their real passion is. Some people will realize that the tomato that you are eating is not just grown in the supermarket. A lot of people think food is produced in the market. They don't know that they are produced in a farm.
Really?
You have no clue. There are people in Accra who are sitting there. The only thought they have is that food is in the supermarket. They can't connect food to the farm, and that is why they will skip a farmer and go to the supermarket. They will look down upon a farmer and go to the supermarket. And Africa is still even better. In Europe, there's a lot of children who think that it's the supermarket that produces food. In Western countries, some children cannot connect food being produced in the farm.
Now, let's go back to the basics. Now, what does it take to be a farmer? Do I just get up at a backyard garden or something? But those who actually want to go into farm, what are some of the major points they need to know? So you said it's challenging. What are some of the things you've encountered? It's how do I
Yeah,
go into
yeah.
farming?
Farming, like I said, it's tough. It's a tough, but it also has to be considered as a business, just like managing a family. All these things require planning, it requires time, it requires attention. So it is important that when you want to go into it, do it consciously. Go into it with the mind that, okay, the food I'm going to produce, am I willing to eat it myself?
Okay.
You're not just serving people. Would you be willing to eat it yourself? If you know the damages the chemicals are producing, would you be willing to eat it yourself? A lot of people are disconnected from this. So first and foremost, plan about it. Sit down, plan. Don't wait to do it a big farm. Start small scale. If you will get to know the mistakes and some of the things you can do right by doing small scale. If it means it's just one plant in your house, if you cannot have a big yard or a garden, if you cannot, if you have the space for a bigger yard, try it there. If you have the potential to do it commercially and you want to do it big, practice, try different plants
Before, so
before.
you began different plants before you major into
Yes,
moringa.
before you. I mean, I majored into moringa and later realized that monoculture wasn't the solution. So I started diversifying. So if you go, I have now about 100-acre restorative farm. You find
100.
plant, find plantain, you have pawpaw, you have even as low as much as to baobab and shea nut trees growing in the same fields, because for me, one good farmer friend of mine advised that anything that you are growing, that in 10 years you cannot sit under its shade,
Mm,
you are not a farmer.
that's a hard one.
So, in as much as you are growing corn, plant something that you can sit under its shade, or your children will sit under its shade. The reason why certain parts of even Ghana, let's take Ghana for instance, the northern part is struggling economically compared to the south, is that these are people whose parents have planted trees from which their grandchildren today are enjoying. And they have passed on this generational wealth. These trees that their children are now sitting under its shade, they have passed on this responsibility or this wealth to the next generation. In the north, we are about yams, we are about corn, we are about all these things. And those things, hardly can you pass it on to the next generation, because at some point you can be even one drought and you are done with your food. You eat all your harvest and then that's it. Imagine if in the north people had planted mangoes 10 years ago. If your grandfather was planting corn and he had planted mangoes in between, oranges in between, and we have 10, 20 families who all have all these diverse plants, the rain pattern here would have changed. The food security in this north would have changed. It's a lie that they tell us that certain plants cannot grow somewhere. If the right soil conditions are created, anything can grow.
Okay.
A house right here in Tamale, I have bananas that are growing and plantains that are growing that otherwise wouldn't have grown where they are growing because I provided the right soil conditions. Cocoa and these things are all growing. Coffee can grow if you provide the right soil conditions. Right here in Nobisco, Tamale here at the School of Hygiene, there's a guy who is growing cranberries and strawberries and what have you because he has provided the right soil conditions. So with the right soil conditions, you can grow anything. So we need to create this. If you really want to go into farming, don't let your focus be on your harvest. Let your focus be on the soil because that is the key that will help everything to thrive. The soil is like a mother. You give her anything, she multiplies it. Okay. So if you take care of her, she will take care of you. That's how the earth is. But unfortunately, human beings feel that we need to grow because I want tomatoes. I should grow only tomatoes. I'm a typical example of growing a baobab trees, and people looked at me and said, "You're crazy.
How you
You are
doing
not.
that?
What? Why are you growing a baobab tree?" But today, we all know that baobab and capox trees, these trees, when they are clustered in a certain place, they draw the rainfall. They change the rain patterns of the area. Okay, so you don't focus only on your stomach. You also focus on nature and all the bigger picture of life. And when we do that, farming becomes more exciting. Farming is a healing practice. If you go into farming, you're basically healing yourself. There were so when I was first as an IT expert before I went into farming, I had so many complications. Going into farming and getting my hands dirty and all that, some of those complications are gone. So farming is also a healing practice when you work with the earth. So I think there's so many benefits in farming that I cannot pinpoint everything at right now. So farming has a lot of benefits that I think that if the youth will push into it, first economically it has a lot of potential to save Africa from the current predicament we are economically. Africa has the largest youth population in the world.
Wow.
So actually, and the youth population means that we are the strongest of the bunch. So it means therefore that we have the people, we have the resource to do it. So the reasons why we are suffering economically is because we place so much priorities on the wrong things. You know, we're producing more doctors, we're producing a lot of chew and poor
Engineers.
engineers. For the engineers, don't even go there. You know, it's pathetic that there are communities that have rivers and they have engineers in Ghana who cannot build systems to pull that water upstream for people to drink. And we call ourselves a country where we are producing engineers. That's a whole different topic altogether. But like I said, we have the potential in Africa. Africa has one of the largest arable lands in the world. So why we are still having food insecurity in Africa sometimes baffles me. If you go to Sudan,
We are eating a
Nigeria,
lot, so the food.
no, we are not eating a lot. We are see the world has abundance for everyone. The world is not lacking. You see, there are a lot of people that feel that the population is growing, and as a result, because of that, that's why there's no. That's not true. Just take from here to Gambaga or Bolga and look at the amount of empty lands that are lying down. Take from here to Kumasi and see the amount of empty lands that are lying down. So it's not about land, it's not about population, it's more about management. It's more about maintenance. It's more about practicing the right form of agriculture. Right now, if you go into Europe, I mean, I just came back from Netherlands almost 3 weeks to 4 weeks now, yeah, and they are all moving back to regenerative farming. These are the people we are copying from, where they have this vast lands of only okra, or vast lands of only tomatoes, or vast lands of sunflower. These people are changing, they are adapting. They want to go into regenerative farms. Africa has the potential because we haven't gone where they have gone. So it's easier to reverse, to do the right thing. But I'm afraid to say that the future of Africa is very bleak when it comes to food security. The reason is that our cost of input is so high: fertilizers, chemicals, machines, even machines. Whereas actually we didn't need to apply all these things. Our soils are so great that if we put a bit of regenerative thinking into it, we can go no-till, we can commercialize it, we can go regenerative agriculture. What I do is syntropic agriculture, where you use landscaping to shape the planting scheme. So where you have like annuals, perennials, and big trees. So different trees grow in succession. And like I said, in every normal forest, you find small plants, you have big plants, you have those in the middle, and we want to grow trees of the same height. It doesn't make sense. It's not natural. We need to mix it up. Diversity creates beauty. There are certain insects that are attracted by certain plants, and those insects eat certain fungus or certain bugs. So you might, if you grow in diversity, for instance, if you have, for instance, neem or marigold planted among tomatoes and other things, they help to repel insects. So there are actually organic and natural ways of teaming with life, such that life can work together and balance each other out. Agriculture can be a beautiful thing, whereby when you start at a young age, you're using a lot of energy. When you are growing old, the farm will be growing better. So instead of spending more energy, all you need to do is just go to the farm, harvest a few things, and you are done. The initial stage is where you use a lot of energy, which is what we have energy for when we are young. And when the farm is doing better as you're growing older, you should be doing less work, not more work. Like I said, the earth can produce in abundance when managed properly. But unfortunately, we've been given so-called science and used as a measure, and those measures actually do not apply in real life. So, quite frankly, I would say that we need to rethink agriculture, rethink the way of production, rethink how we are growing our own food, go back to how we used to do it better. There were some, we call it sustainability. Sustainability will not help us, because sustainability is sustaining something. And if you're sustaining something that is bad, it means that you're going to be in a cycle of wrong things. So we need to grow out of sustainability to be creatable. We need to create the environment for things to be better. And they're only it should be improving, not declining. And yeah, well, it's a whole lot of topic if you want
We
to go
need to
depth in
improve,
depth.
and I think that especially for the agric sector, we need to be able to bring new innovations in place to make sure that, because we have to make sure that our children coming up are eating more healthier than
Exactly.
we are.
Exactly.
And that is important. Let's go for a break. We'll be right back.
Yele, yele, yela, yele. Praise the Lord, oh. Whoa. Yeah, yeah. Are you ready? Okay.
Like a rainbow, so my life made colorful. If you don't know, a life with this man is beautiful. Sing to the glory of
Oh, yeah, sing to the glory of God.
Sing to the glory of
Oh, yeah, sing to the glory of God.
It's He I know. Everywhere I go, it's He he I see. Anything I do, it's he I go. Seek him first, all things you shall get.
So I believe that this episode is showing us a lot of insight to why every one of us should go into the agri sector. Now, a lot of young people coming up, like you said, it's very difficult, it's very tough, but I think it's something we should all try. I don't have a backyard in my house, but I've tried to do some farming this year. But I think that we can, as much as possible, try to do something. Yes, so we just have like 10 minutes remaining. What are the most important lessons that you think that everybody should know about the challenges in the agri sector and what the government should do, or the partners, or yeah, everybody should do to make food sustainable for us to always have available?
I think that, I mean, ideally, not everybody can go into agriculture.
Okay.
Not everybody, but you can invest in it. You know, you
Yes.
can help to build the value chain. You know, agriculture is not only about going to the farm and using tractors. You know, that is the old mentality of agriculture. Agriculture involves a whole lot more, from medicine to pharmacy to banking. There's a whole sector of agri, and the problem we have in Africa in general and in Ghana is because there's a huge gap in the value chain of agriculture. You know, the farmer is the marketer, the farmer is the transport officer, the
The farmer
farmer
does everything.
the farmer does everything. So that's why farming is really difficult. If we can cover the value chain, the young people can go into transport. There's a lot of young people that can go into consultancy. There's a young people that can go into financial advice.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that can go into pharmacy.
Or
That
even how
is
to
linked
even
to
market the product in the
there's
media,
there's a
communication.
whole value chain in farming that, especially in Africa, we are overlooking and only thinking that farming is all about getting the hoe and the cutlass and all that. So a lot of your youth out there, if you, I mean, farming is a beautiful thing, but I encourage you to also think outside the box. You don't, if you know, bending and having lifting weight is not your kind of thing, don't go and be forcing yourself to do it. You know,
Talk
at the,
about the
you
product.
can look at other value addition like marketing. You can look at accounting. You can look at so many aspects. A lot of young people just assume that they say somebody's a farmer, it means you're bending the hoe. You know, that's a bit of an archaic model of thinking. But like I'll also say, let's think regenerative. Let's think creatability. You know, anything you are doing that declines in terms of production is a problem, and that is currently the agric we are having is declining. The world is declining. The reason why we are making so much noise about climate change and all this ecology and is because there's a decline in the system. So let's begin to build systems. There are people that can be futuristic. They can think, how do we create a new world where things are growing better and not reversed?
Yeah.
But my last point I want to emphasize on is seeds, especially production purposes. We as farmers should not and must not hand over the production of seeds to a corporate.
Okay.
We should not hand the responsibility of the seeds that we are going to use to grow for a business. The farmer should be able to use his own seeds and grow and become better. The farmer, right now, when a farmer wants corn to grow, he goes to the agro shop, go and buy the seeds. Next year he goes back there. The next year he goes back there. That's completely wrong.
And
The f-
that they might even use wrong meat.
So what happens if
Yes,
these agrochemicals decide, every agri shops decides that okay, this year we are not giving you seeds. It happened this year.
really?
It happened last year, where fertilizer shortage and all this,
Yeah.
they hoard them to raise the price. Right now, fertilizer is selling at 400, 450, 500. Why? Because it is hoarded. They hoard them to raise the market. And so we shouldn't put the future of our next generation in the hands of corporates who are only
Who just
interested in the
want
money.
the money,
The
yeah.
capitalistic companies who are only about the money. We shouldn't do this. So our farmers out there, please keep your seeds. Whatever GMO, no GMO, please, this is false alarms.
Yeah.
If GMO could have solved it, South Africa had tried it. They would have solved the world hunger. Togo had tried it. They have GMOs everywhere. But have they been able to solve the food insecurity? So let's not be deceived by these scientific technical terms that are putting our farmers in jeopardy. The farmer should be able to grow his own food with his own seeds. And next year, he should be able to take those same seeds, better versions of it, and plant again. He should not put the freedom of seeds in the hands of capitalist companies. It is what is destroying our agriculture sector today, and it will continue to disturb our food security as a country and as Africans if we do not work towards food security in securing our own seeds. As we sit here in the in the Arctic places, they have bunkers of seeds being stored with all kinds of seeds from all over the world, and yet we are not even storing one single seed. When you go into our communities, our seeds are all gone. The ones that they used to hang, do you see them anymore?
Yes. And that one was like, no matter how hungry you are in the house,
You will
you
never
dare
touch
not
that
touch
seed
it because it is only preserved for the following year.
for the following year.
Sowing. And channel, you could your mother can beat you some beating just because you have touched
So
it.
this is what we are saying, young people out there. Let's work to save our seeds. I have two campaigns I'm doing. One is saving the soil, the other is saving the seeds. If we can have independence and food security, this is the two things we must do.
Save the soil and save the seed. It's been an amazing discussion, and I think that every farmer out there who's watching have learned so much today, because some of us didn't even know some of the things you are saying, and we just took everything for granted. Saying, we're a farmer, just bring the food and we'll eat. But there's a lot that goes in there. And if you are out there, like he said, you can also invest in any farmer. So Green Gold is there. Just get in touch with them and just give us your social media handles if you don't mind. The name of your, just something you want them to know. They want to
If
partner
you
with
check
you.
www.greengoldghana.com, you will find us. We are a social enterprise. We are not in it for the cash,
Yeah.
but we love what we do. We have all other value added products. You might see our teas and our oils in the market there, but that's not as dear to us as
The lives you are
the,
touching.
the people that we are reaching out to, being able to have their own seeds and being able to develop the topsoil so that they can grow healthy food for themselves and their families.
Yeah. So get in touch with them and you can get a very, and also do well to order from them if you want to order anything that they produce. Thank you very much for watching. My hair and makeup is by Indem's Beauty Salon, and I want to do this one. If I can get my phone, I want to do this one for Sopam Limited. They are out with a new kind of product. If you've seen it on the table, they have the black soap, African black liquid soap, and they have this one for the shampoo. My ladies, for your hair, get in touch with them. It is just 12 Ghana cedis, and with 12 Ghana cedis, you can get great shampoo for your hair. And they have the mango flavor for the soap, and shea butter. If you are in Tamale or any part of Ghana or even in the world and you want them, just get in touch with them on 054 629 2087. 054 629 2087. You can also get in touch with us on our official numbers. We can give you their contact details. We are still calling on partners and sponsors for the Reflection Show. Call us on 054 9578 512 for amazing packages. Thank you for watching. My name is Martha Anabila. Do have a good night. Hello and welcome to today's episode on Thoughts from Martha Inspires. I am Martha Anabila. Today I want to talk to you about what I have captioned, pain is a qualifier. There are lots of times we are like, I'm not qualified for this, I'm not qualified for that. But I have come to understand that sometimes pain is a qualifier. Let me take you back to the Bible about the story of Joseph. He was qualified to be the prime minister of Egypt because of what he had gone through. That is pain. A lot of times we get situations and we feel like, oh, I should have deserved this opportunity, but you haven't gone through that pain. So stop jealousing people and making it look like people have gotten some kind of favors or certain kinds of favor. It is pain, the issues they have gone through, that has qualified them to stand at those positions. There are people that didn't have money to go to school or etc., but they have certain breakthroughs because of their background. Their background is what qualifies them. When we have missionaries coming to our communities to donate things, they donate to the poor, not the rich. What qualifies them is the poverty to receive certain kind of goodies and breakthrough. Certain kinds of pain. Pain qualifies you to be a mother. Every mother who has given birth before understands that before you can have a child, you have to go through labor. You have to push. And it's the pain of pushing that makes you have a biological child. You cannot just lie down in your room and say that, oh, I'm a mother, so I have a kid, I have 2 kids, and no. Pain is a qualifier. So in every endeavor that you are taking to, understand that it is the pain that you have gone through, that you are going through, that qualified you to stand at where you are standing. The presidential candidates can say so. They go through the pain of campaigns, pain of convincing people before they win the elections. Students go through pain of learning, of studying, of paying fees, etc. before they can stand and get that opportunity. If you don't go through that pain, don't expect to have that privilege. Don't expect to have that favor, because even favor comes with pain, favor comes with conditions, favor comes with some requirements that you may not have, you may not deserve. So the next time you are jealous of that brother, that sister, ask yourself if you have gone through that pain they have gone through, if you have gone through that humiliation that they have gone through. We have stories even in the Bible and even in our society. We see people who have gone through pain, and at the end of the day, they have so much grace, they have so much opportunities. And it's not because the favor or the breakthrough fell up out of the sky. No, they struggle through the pain, they struggle through the issues, they struggle through before they can become that big woman and that big man that we see today, and we think that we are jealous of them. If you want to go through success, understand that the pain will come with it. I believe that you watching me today have learned something from this episode. And don't push the pain away when the pain is coming, because it is the pain that will qualify you for that favor, that breakthrough, and that success. Thank you for watching today's episode on Thoughts from Martha Inspires. I am Martha Anabila. See you next time.